It seems history is repeating itself as the bug planets are up and running at full strength, bringing us back to the early days of the Into the Unjust update. Plus, Sony is back at it and hammering down, this time outside of YouTube. Yeah, this is getting interesting. If you want to help support the channel, please hit subscribe as we take a look at what is happening inside Helldivers. I think at this point, the lava planets and Incen core are starting to burn through divers' patience. And yes, that pun was intended. Because with 4.5 days left to go in this current major order, Planet K is ours. We hold Fury and a 𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗏 with only Mox standing in our way of checking off every part of this one and just riding off into the sunset. I understand it's only about 1:30 in the afternoon EST on a Saturday, but I kind of thought we'd have more divers logged on and spreading managed democracy. Know what I'm saying? Now, that total should go up as it gets later into the day, or at least I hope it will. But I also know this may have something to do with the MO being down to versus the bots, and not everyone likes the bots. I get it. Also, this could be down to diver fatigue now that I think about it. But again, I expected more divers. With the Incen core currently on Mox, the divers going up against that planet are seeing a 2% regen rate, and kind of lost in all of this because it's nowhere in the game, but we are also smashing into a planetary health bar of 2 million HP, which is quite a bit higher than we would normally see. Point being, even with the DSS overhead and with the majority of those that are logged on actually hitting Mox, we are still projected to take over 5 days to liberate just this one planet alone. Now, we've talked about this in past uploads, but when you stack all of these factors against us, such as regen rates, juiced planetary health bars, etc., and then you add into the equation the galactic impact mod, which harms us the more divers we have logged on, it really shoehorns us into either operating as a full-out mob, or we just spread out across the map and basically make zero progress on any one objective or planet. Now, I know for a fact that many of our divers are MO divers, and they're currently hitting Mox and taking on the Incen core, and I thank you for that. But without a doubt, one of the biggest complaints you see out there are those aimed at the conflagration devastators, aka the super shotgun sniper heavy devs. Now, one of the remedies floating around in the community is to just counter them by wearing inflammable armor to help versus the fire damage, but there's a post here from Reddit that may change your minds. Here's what it says. PSA: flame-resistant armor does not help against incinerator core shotguns. I've seen a lot of people suggest wearing fire armor to counter the conflagration devastator's shotgun. Others have mentioned explosion resistance. Those will have no effect. Their shotgun does pure ballistic damage with a secondary effect of inflicting the burn status, 100 fire damage per second. The shotgun blast itself is 300 ballistic, so that's 12 pellets times 25 damage each, with a spread about equivalent to a base Punisher and an AP of 2, so that's light armor pen. This is so much damage that no combination of armor rating passives and boosters will survive being hit by all 12 pellets. Only 200 armor rating plus vitality booster can survive more than 8 pellets. Every other armor dies in 8 or less, more often less. To put this into perspective, the Impaler's tentacles only do 150 damage, which is equivalent to being hit by only 6 pellets. What does help a lot is the ballistic shield, which has AV3, which is an armor value of 3. This means it will deflect any pellet that hits it and takes 0 damage while doing so. It has 600 HP just for reference. The ballistic shield works whether you are wielding it, aiming with it, or just have it on your back. Now, what I can say is that I've had a lot of planet-side time versus these Incen bots, and there's a lot of talk about them and what you can do to counter their attacks, but the issue is that no matter what you try, it's probably not going to be very consistent. Fire armor is actually helpful if you survive their shotgun blast and end up getting caught on fire without being insta-folded from their initial shotgun shots. Taking a full volley, or if they hit you with a headshot, it's just lights out. There's no odds of survival there. And really, The only effective ways to deal with them is to attack at range, use your cover effectively, or to use something to shield you. Now, personally, I like to attack at range, especially if you've got decent sight lines where an AMR or WASP can light up a squad of these things and wipe them out in short order. But, you know, that's just my 2 cents. Anyways, help out a fellow diver here by posting a comment with your tips and tricks to taking on the Incen core. And, you know, maybe I can spice things up by dropping some super credits on you for a comment or 2 that really help out. For those of you looking to change up the flavor from the automatons, the Terminid Rupture strain has appeared over on Boar Rock, so you get to combine a couple of not so well-liked parts of the game with the Rupture seeds and forest biomes together. So yeah, good luck with that one. But here's the massive surprise of the day. We've had a dispatch pop up that says there was a gloom outflow from Oshaune to Omicron deeper in the gloom, and the Helldivers are being tasked with diving into this extremely dangerous zone in the name of managed democracy and, of course, to farm the bugs for E711. What makes Omicron crazy, though, is that it's essentially Oshaune, copy and pasted to a different planet on the map. And that means you're going to have things like Hive Lords, dragon roaches, caves, the same missions, and those roaming shrieker patrols. Basically everything we saw over on Big O Part 1 outside of the Rupture strain. So if you've never killed a Hive Lord, or maybe never seen one, here's your chance. Maybe you want to try out your builds and squad setups versus Biledragons. Well, fire away. And really, outside of the current rapid acquisition missions, you're not going to find a planet and enemies that can be as wild and hectic as what you can currently find over on Omicron. But the issue is, or should I say, the question is, performance. Because we were all there back on September 2nd when Into the Untested went live, and clearly the enemies were busted and broken, and the performance was, well, the game ran like total dog shit up until recently. So with that in mind, we assembled a crew, and we actually tested out Omicron this morning on level 10 difficulty, so you won't have to. And really to our surprise, the game actually ran pretty well. I had one massive frame drop pretty early on when someone set off a 500 kg in our first mission, but from then on, it stayed pretty stable, even with breaches, patrols, a Hive Lord, and multiple Biledragons all converging on our position. We killed multiple Hive Lords, and we smoked every Biledragon we could, which, by the way, still seemed to have a disconnect issue between their attacks and fire AoE, so yeah, that's still there. We also went into the caves and shot the place to pieces, and really, only the sound seemed to be suffering as it would cut out on certain background noises, like when you call down the Super Earth flag to spread democracy. You could hear no sound, no patriotic tunes coming from the flag, like at all. You'd also not hear large targets like chargers and such when there was a crap ton of shooting going off, and there was an occasional issue with the Biledragons clipping into rock structures, especially around the caves. But you know, in terms of performance now versus early September, it's night and day better. I also know there's the other side to this planet and these mission types, the part where those of us who hit Big O back in September and dealt with all the BS and performance issues. And so when it comes to basically going back to an identical planet, we kind of look at it, remember what happened the last time, as in what kind of pain in the ass it was, and say, nah, I'm good. And we kind of move on to another planet and faction. Now, when I put out the call this morning that we were going to Omicron, there was this ever so slight pause from the hardcore crew, so I know it's something that exists out there. Still, if you happen to bounce over there for a little break from the lava planets, let me know what you think of the performance once you get in a couple of dives. And finally, Omicron, with its Hive Lords, caves, and Biledragoons, is not the only thing happening again within the community, as it seems that SONY is once again on the prowl and striking. Quite literally. We've seen strikes posted from the likes of noted Helldivers 2 leaker 𝗙𝗏𝗋𝗋𝗋, who had posted a bunch of in-game images they found in the slim PC game files, to then seeing those images removed by the copyright holder, in this case probably SONY, using the copyright strike system. We also saw SONY last month hit the likes of Erevan and others with DMCA copyright strikes for their early Warbond coverage, and now it looks like the Helldivers 2 leaks Discord has been nuked, presumably, again, by SONY. Members that were a part of it described seeing the Discord icon on their servers list, and now it's just suddenly gone. And when you actually attempt to find the Discord and join it via a search bar, it shows as invalid, with 𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃 stating that it was his DMCA on the Illuminate mission leaks as the cause for the server getting deleted. But it seems that Sony, Arrowhead, and really the entire Helldivers IP is not taking it any longer, changing course from their previous lax approach to posting this kind of content, now choosing to drop the hammer on anyone choosing to post it, regardless of platform. Personally, I'd steer clear of any of this because Sony seems to be on the hunt. They're motivated and they're definitely hitting people with strikes, but you know, that's just my opinion. Here's where you get to sound off with yours. Drop a comment about anything Helldivers related, and of course, I'll do my best to respond. Remember to hit subscribe and to ring the notifications bell to receive my future upload alerts. Thanks goes out to all of our current channel members and your awesome support. And until the next one, this is 𝗏𝐿𝐵𝑢�ZLitebeer signing off.